welcome. I am back. I'm so sorry for that I was gone for 2 weeks. I'm allowed to go on vacation though, like I went away. I was out of the country. And also I'm really sorry about last night. I was supposed to be here doing this last night. I had some technical difficulties and, stuff happens, but we're here tonight. We're here together on a Wednesday, and that's what's important. And I'm here to talk to you about the biggest movie of 2024 so far, clocking in at $155 million over the weekend. That being Inside Out 2, plus a movie that came out 2 weeks ago on Netflix. It's called Hitman. It's from Richard Linklater. It stars Glen Powell. There, gotta talk about that. I mean, that can't come out and me just let it go by. So that's what we're gonna do. We'll start with Inside Out 2. The original Inside Out is one of two movies in existence that oddly enough, both of them Pixar, that you put them on, and I don't care how hard I try. There's nothing I can do to not cry. Specifically during the Bing Bong scene. If you've seen it, and I'm not spoiling anything. The movie's been out, forever. And so, and people, it's manipulative. No, it's not manipulative to make you feel something. Like, manipulative would be to make you do something after having those feelings. Just invoking those feelings is just what movies are here to do, man. Movies are here to make us feel something. And here's my guy right here, Bing Bong, right there on my shirt. And Inside Out just makes me feel something every time. The other one, by the way, is Coco. And this one, so I didn't cry. We'll just start right there. Inside Out 2 headline did not make Paul cry. So, there's so it doesn't have what some would call the manipulation, what I would say the emotional impact that the original Inside Out had. Let's talk about what the movie's about. So we catch up with our 5 emotional friends. I'll that's an inside joke for some people. We catch up with our 5 emotional friends inside Riley, who have reached puberty. She's 13 now, and they get a new console, and it includes puberty, and they don't know how to handle that, and the 4 new emotions that it brings with it. And it's it's mayhem. I mean, so in addition to fear, anger, disgust, and then the big stars, sadness and joy, we welcome anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui. And with those things come complications in addition to the depth of feeling. And the story is basically, what's going on outside of the head is that Riley is living in San Francisco, has 3 best friends. They're about to enter high school. It's the summer before high school, and they're going to hockey camp. Okay, hockey camp in San Francisco, sure. And on the way to hockey camp, Riley finds out that that her 2 best friends are not going to be going to the same high school as her. They've been rezoned or something along those lines, and they're going to a different high school. And so they're not going to be able to play on the same hockey team. Now, look, suspension of disbelief is one thing. Believing that there are high schools in San Francisco that have hockey teams, sure, and that the hockey teams are like super important. Like, okay, whatever. Like that's just what's going on. So, and in the end, what ends up happening, not the in the end, but what ends up happening is that Riley handles that news poorly, partially because inside her head, anxiety is trying to it's she says early on, anxiety is a she. Anxiety says early on that fear protects Riley from things that are threatening her now. Anxiety protects Riley from things that might hurt her in the future. Um, and anxiety thinks that I've got this. I don't need these other five emotions. Boots the other five emotions, and uh, we get a very similar. We need to get back into the control center plot line that you had in the first one, but this time it instead of just being joy and sadness, it's all five of those original emotions. Um, that's the story. Uh, One of the things that I really like about this movie is that the it would be very easy to say, "Oh, well, anxiety is the bad guy," but an- really, anxiety is just doing what anxiety does. Just like in the first movie, sadness isn't the bad guy. Sadness is just doing what sadness does, and within the construct of anxiety projecting negative and negativity, and joy trying to undermine that from afar and trying to project positivity and positiveness. Riley genuinely is making really bad life choices, and because of the feeling that she has of abandonment and combined with the difficulties of suddenly dealing with those emotions, that abandonment, uh with the new environment that she's being placed in, and these new feelings that she has to deal with. Riley's the bad guy. Like, that's it. Riley is the main character of this Pixar movie, is the bad guy. Riley is making choices that are obviously choices that make you say, "Oh no, Riley, don't do that, please." And Riley does it anyway. And left and right. And this is and it's more than just from the original movie where Riley decides, "You know what? I think I'm going to run away." Which is an understandable reaction. It's like uh this is very much like, "You know what? I think I'm going to, just not be a good person towards my friends. And like, I think I am going to make bad hockey decisions in order to just benefit me and not, be a good teammate." Like, just a whole bunch of things going down that, yes, well, impacted by the fact that anxiety, she has no joy, and just anxiety is the overriding emotion. Like, it's just like, wow, Riley, stop it. And I really liked that. I really liked that that's where it went. And because so often, the common, the cliche, we're all the hero in our own stories. And, I think it's fair to say that this is Riley's own story. And it's very fair to say that she's definitely not the hero of this story. And that's okay. And I think and I think the wonderful thing about this movie is that it manages to let kids know, hey, it's okay to make bad decisions sometimes. Like, you're going to make bad decisions. The problem isn't making a bad decision, because it's going to happen. Like, it's just going to happen. The It's how do you deal with the aftermath of those bad decisions. And we really and so the way that look, spoiler, sure, whatever. Obviously the emotions get back into the control center, and things work themselves out. And um I think explaining to kids, look, you make bad decisions, it's okay, because as long as you recognize that, and do something about it. Don't just let the bad decision linger. You've made a bad decision, do something about it. React to that. Fix that. Fix the ramifications of that. Um, Also, the other thing I loved about this movie, this movie really, as much as the first one made me cry and makes me cry every single time I watch it, no matter how many times I've seen it, and know how prepared I am for that scene coming up. Um, this one hit home for me. If there were if I had, like the fun thing from the original is that everybody has a slightly different primary emotion that kind of is the alpha emotion within their head. For me, the alpha emotion is anxiety. And early in the movie, it's established that what Joy does in order to deal with, her sort of negative the bad moments is she catapults the bad memories into the back of the mind, just boots them. And the way she gets back in to the control center results in those bad memories flooding back. And that's just me. That's just me in a non-ending cascade of bad memories just floating right back into my head. Like I just walk around and I'll just randomly say shit. And my spouse will say, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'll just have to explain nothing. I just thought of something that terrible that I did when I was like 24. Like literally. Like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe I did that terrible thing. Shit. Or uh, you know, similarly, like one of the things that anxiety does in the movie is project these, constantly projecting these possible negative outcomes that must be avoided. And that's all I do. I just like look at, oh, there's a kid walking on the sidewalk. Wouldn't it be horrible if a car just, drove up and smashed into that kid? Like, well, why is that popping into my head? It's because I let anxiety drive my drive. Anxiety is my alpha emotion, and it's just what it is. Hey, look, I'm genuinely a happy person. Don't worry about me. But yes, I am also, I am constantly wrecked with, negative ramifications of my choices. Um, so in, it's this obviously it's a sequel, so you got to compare. Like you can't not like yes, you can say, oh, well, it's a totally different movie, a la Furiosa, totally different movie. It's a prequel, totally different from Fury Road. This is not like that removed. This is like a sequel, and it's meant to build on what happened before and be its own thing. No, it's this, if this is the original, this is just right underneath it. It's really good. It's fantastic, in fact. 100% deserving of the $155 million opening that it made. Absolutely 100% deserving of being the second highest grossing animated feature opening of all time. Crazy, after what box office has been doing this year, for that to be like a reality is fantastic, and I'm happy for it. I think everybody should go out and see it when Despicable Me 4 comes out later this summer. For the love of God, if you haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet, don't go see Despicable Me 4 that opening weekend. Go see Inside Out 2. It'll be a much more empty theater, and then go see Despicable Me 4 later, like a couple weeks later. Look, I'm a Disney guy, unapologetic. I have Bing Bong on my shirt. Like that's just the reality. All right, here at Real to Real Talk, we do tacos instead of stars, and instead of giving out half a taco, we add a little guac if we think it earns it. Why? Because nobody eats a half a fucking taco. This one's not getting any guac. It's a solid 4 taco. Such a good 4 taco movie. Such a good 4 taco movie. This is not going to end up being in my top 5 of 2024, but it's definitely going to end up being in my top 5 of the summer. It is so good. I maybe I could after reflection I might end up adding guac on at a later time, but for right now, my gut reaction says that's where it is. I have negative things to say, but I'm not going to dive into that. We're going to switch things to Hitman. This is Richard Linklater's latest movie. Richard Linklater of look, you know, obviously, Dazed and Confused. I mean, like that is a movie that everybody has seen and everybody knows and everybody likes, and uh for good reason. But his filmography is weird. Okay, so after Dazed and Confused, he does one for the studio. Oh, these are his productions. Let me get his director stuff. Um, so he makes Dazed and Confused, and then he makes Before Sunrise, which look, the Before trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and then Before Midnight are all friggin' amazing. He makes The Newton Boys. He makes Waking Life, which has a cult following that I don't understand. He makes Tape. He makes School of Rock. Amazing. Yes, School of Rock for sure. He makes this is the one that I was about to mention. He makes Bad News Bears. Ugh. He makes Fast Food Nation, which I haven't seen. He makes Scanner Darkly, which okay. Um, he makes Me and Orson Welles, which again, one I haven't even heard of. He makes Bernie with Jack Black, which doesn't totally work. That's okay though. Because it has Jack Black. Then we slot in Before Midnight. Boyhood, which was one of the most ambitious movies, like just the concept of it, taking a family, shooting them when the kid's like 10 and then shooting him 8 years later when he's 18, and like using the same actors and not just insane, really good. Then he made a couple others. He made Apollo 10 and a half, which I hated, and now he makes this Hitman. My point of saying this is he's all over the place. Like he is an adult filmmaker. That's the best way to explain it. Even though he's most known for Dazed and Confused, he is an adult filmmaker. He makes movies that are for the most part meant for adults and have adult themes and work you more often than not. And when they don't work, they really don't work. But it's very rare that he makes one that doesn't work. Now he's working with Glen Powell for the fourth time, I believe. Um, everybody wants some. Glen Powell was one of the main characters in that. He was also in the Fast Food Nation, apparently, small part, whatever. But Glen Powell's here. Glen Powell is everywhere right now, like just everywhere. Like so, you know. Here's what I'm going to just say, even before going too deep into this movie. Don't go off of Linklater, because this movie does not feel like much of anything that he's made in the past. This is definitely one that it's just like, okay, he had an idea and this is a different idea. This very much feels like a Glen Powell movie, though. And so if you like Glen Powell, definitely check this movie out. Also, similarly, if you've seen Adria Arjona in anything, specifically the Father of the Bride remake, or Morbius, or Six Underground. If you've seen her in anything and you want to see her, you will have wanted to see her again, like guarantee. She is just absolutely mesmerizing, and her and Glen Powell just rock the shit out of the chemistry department in this movie. They are making hot sauce, and that part of the movie totally works. This is a movie in two parts, so it starts with Glen Powell is a teacher. This is also, by the way, based on a true story. Glen Powell is a teacher who is who moonlights doing tech work for the Louisiana Police Department. And he sets up the cameras and for sting operations and stuff like that. Some of the sting operations that he works on are exposing people who are trying to hire a hitman. And one thing leads to another, which is completely inexplicable, and like this wouldn't happen. And Glen Powell has to pose as the hitman in one of these sting operations. And it turns out he's really good at it. This guy that he plays, Gary Johnson. And he's so good at it that he becomes the person that they use when the police officer who was doing it previously comes back from being on probation because he got into a fight with a bunch of teenagers and the fight got posted online. The first hour of the movie is basically just Glen Powell playing different characters, because what he does, instead of just always being the same hitman, is he tries to cater, they do a little research on the people that are doing the hiring, and he tries to cater the hitman based off of what he thinks, based off the research, what this person might be looking for. And one of the people that he helps along the way is Madison, played by Adria, and he talks Adria out of talks Madison out of hiring him to hire to kill her husband, because she needs him killed because she's miserable. He's abusive, maybe, certainly mentally abusive, verbally abusive, just not a good person. You get the feeling. And Glen Powell falls for her instantly. You could see why. And he convinces her, don't hire me. Just get away. You don't need this. Don't go down this road. Just move out, get out, take this money, get out, and form your own life. And then, and so the first half of the movie is sort of like a dark comedy about hiring a hitman and the hitman playing different characters. The second half of the movie is a film noir about what happens if the person you wanted to hire as a hitman comes back into your life and you two fall in love, but you're now both running away from the police. And it's a film noir. I mean, it's just straight up color by numbers or black and white film noir. And I really, really, really loved the first half of this movie. And I really enjoyed the first half of the second half of this movie, primarily because they have so much character chemistry. Actually, that's not true. The 4/5 of the second half of this movie, I really disliked this in the telling of the film noir. This movie makes a choice that I don't get at all. I heard an interview on a podcast that I listened to of Linklater and Powell, where they explained, we wanted to do something. We were writing a movie and we got into a position with the character where we didn't know how to get out of this. We didn't know how to get these characters out of it. And so we made this decision, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want everybody to watch it. This is a totally enjoyable movie. Everybody should watch it. It's on Netflix. If you already have Netflix, for Christ's sakes, you don't need to watch Better Call Saul for the third time in a row. You just go watch Hitman one night. What, you can take 2 hours to watch a movie. Okay? Anyway, so they come out and say that they got it. They had written themselves into a corner, and this is how they decided to write themselves out. And when I was watching the movie, I was like, and the thing happens, I was like, oh, this is just a decision because you didn't know what to do. Like you didn't know what to do with these characters, and so you did this thing, and I don't like it. No me gusta. It's not good it doesn't work for me at all on any level. It's just like, who's doing that? What this is completely out of whack with what's going on with these characters, and there's so many different, more interesting ways to get them out of this that don't require like, yes, it's interesting, make the audience question, are these actually good people? But then just be like, no, actually they aren't, but that's okay. But they can have a happy life anyway. And it's like, whoa, why? Mm, I still liked the movie though. I got really mad when I was watching the movie. Like literally, the entire time I'm like, oh, this is a Three Taco Plus Guac movie. Like it at no point am I like, oh, this is a Four Taco movie. Like never. But the whole time I'm like, oh, this is a Three Taco, and this definitely is getting guac. Like it's you just know when you've watched enough movies and then gone and done a review, you know where you're landing on a movie for the most part. As soon as the negative thing happened, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm knocking a taco off." That is instantly one taco off. And I have cooled on that decision. I'm just knocking the guac off. It's still a I would absolutely watch this movie again, and I would just be really annoyed for like 5 minutes. And the reality is that there's one scene in the same podcast there's one scene that they called out that is really amazing. It's a super fun film noir trope where people are questioning and answering and interacting, and they actually make good use of cell phone technology. That's all I'm going to say about it. But it's nice when you're watching movies from like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and all you think about is, well, that would totally be different with cell phones. And now you're watching a movie, and it really is totally different with a cell phone. I liked that. It's a Three Taco movie. Watch Hitman. Hey, everybody, it's good to be back. I will be here for the rest of the summer. Next week we've got the bike riders, and I'll probably catch another couple streamers as I catch up. So hopefully you'll join me next week. I'll see you then. Otherwise, I'm Paul Britton. This was Really Real Talk. I hope to see you. Go out and see the movies. Go check out Inside Out too. It's so